Hi, it's Ellen Violette here, and today is the third secret in this series of the 4 secrets to writing your book, your bestseller, quickly. And today there's 2 things I want to talk about, and the first one is doing an outline. So I've been doing my 3 Days to eBook Cash workshop since 2004. I've given it 30 times now. And I can tell you that just about, I'd say 99.9% of the time, when people are having problems writing their book, I ask them if they've done the outline, and they say no. And I'll say, well, why didn't you do the outline? And it's like there's something in the brain that somehow made them feel like, well, it's so easy, and I kind of know what I'm doing. Hi, Smith, Amanda. And makes them think that, oh, well, it's silly to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most important things that you need to do to write your book, and to do it so that it's organized and it has the potential to be a bestseller and it's easy to write. That's the most important thing. Because if it's not easy to write, what's going to happen is you're going to get discouraged. And if you get discouraged, you might give up, and I don't want you to give up. So the thing about an outline is that it literally is a roadmap of what you're going to write about in your book. And there are a few reasons why it's so important. One is that when you get everything on the paper and you see it all in front of you, it shows you in a way that maybe you can't tell when it's not on paper, that it may not be as organized as you think it is. And they're like little chess pieces, and you can move them around. But if you don't get them down on the paper, you can't see that. So that's number one. And number two is that when you don't have a roadmap, what happens a lot of times for authors is they'll be writing and they'll get off on an idea and go onto a tangent. It's like taking the wrong off ramp, and then they get farther and farther away from what it's supposed to be about, and then they don't know how to get back, and that's how they get stuck. Hi, Beth. Hi, Leslie. So that's why it's so important to have your outline. And then the other thing that an outline does for you is it shows you what you were planning to put in the book. And sometimes you're planning to put too much in the book, and it really isn't one book. It's really 2 books or 3 books. And so you're feeling overwhelmed because you think all of this has to go into one book, and it doesn't have to go into one book. It's actually 3 books. So it shows you that. And then on the other side, it can show you maybe you don't have enough to write a book yet. And then you need to think about, okay, well, what am I going to write in this book? And then how am I going to enhance it so that it is long enough to make it worth writing, if you feel like you need it to be longer, depending on what your purposes are for writing the book. So those are the reasons why the outline is so important. And so when you have that outline, though, it's just, you can just zip through it. It's like, I'm writing about this first, I'm writing about this second, I'm writing about this third, and you just go boom, boom, boom. And then while you're writing, you make sure that you stay on topic for each thing that you said you're going to write about. And that's how you write more quickly. Because when you don't do that, that's when you go off, and then you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know how to get back, and you're confused, and you're stuck, and it's a mess. So that's why you've got to do the outline. I mean, doing an outline is just so critical. I can't even say that enough. I use outlines for everything. If I'm going to do an article, if I'm going to do a book, if I'm going to do a PowerPoint, I mean, that's, do the outline first, and you'll never get lost, and you'll always be able to write much more quickly no matter what you're writing. So that's number one. And number 2 is doing the book research, not the marketing and visibility research, which I talked about before, but the book research. That means, what are you researching that you are planning to put inside your book? And I don't hear anybody else talk about this. This is something I decided a long time ago, and it's one of my secrets to helping my clients do this quickly. And what that is that I see so many people, and they'll say, well, I'm not ready to write a book yet. I'm still researching what I want to write about, or I'm still researching my book. And to me, that is an absolute deadly mistake, because what happens is people start outlining and outlining and outlining. Yeah, Nita said the outline helped her finish her book. Yeah, Nita was in my 3 Days to eBook Cash workshop. I know you were having problems, and we discussed it, and then you did your outline. Hi, Thomas. I'm happy to see you here. And so what I was going to say is that they'll research and research and research, and what happens is a few things. Some people are using that to avoid actually writing their book, because you can research forever and never get to write the book. That's number one. And number two is, when you haven't figured out what the book is about, you don't have your title, you haven't done the marketing research, why are you researching? You don't even know what the book, you don't know what's in the book. You don't have your outline yet. And so you don't know what kind of research you're going to need. So what ends up happening is, when you do this, is that you end up usually with either a bunch of pieces of paper or a bunch of little Word, docs, and they're all over the place, and you don't know what to do with them, because there's too many of them. Two, there are information about things all over the place. And so it's a really easy way to get stuck. Okay, really easy way to get stuck. Hi, Cheryl, nice to see you. So that's why I say, do your brain dump, do your outline, do your brain dump, get the main information down, and then go back when you can see exactly what it is that you need to research that's actually going to go in your book. Okay, that way you don't spend all that time researching stuff that actually 90 to 95% of it you're never going to use, and you're not wasting time, you're not procrastinating. So the flip side of that is, it's like, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to get your act together. You've got to say, okay, am I doing this to slow myself down? Am I doing this to not have to face actually writing my book? And once you understand that when you don't do the research until you've written that first outline, then you never have to worry about that. You don't have to worry if you're mind screwing yourself. You don't have to worry if you're procrastinating, because you're not. You've got your title, you've got your visibility at study, you've got your outline, and you're ready to go. You know exactly what you need. And actually, Leslie, who's on watching right now, we just did her book. And that's exactly what she did. It's like writing the first part first, and then going back and looking at, okay, what research do I need, and then inserting that later. So that's how it works. And those are the two things, that can really trip you up and slow you down. I'm actually going to throw in a third one, and that is editing while you're writing. That's another thing you don't do. So there are people who, it's like they go over, oh, Leslie's saying, yeah, it made it really easy to do it that way, to not do the research until you were ready. Have you seen someone finish a book in 2 weeks? Absolutely. I've seen people finish a book in my workshop in 3 days and have it on Amazon the next day selling. Yes, I have. And I've written them in less than 2 weeks as well. But editing, I once had a woman in one of my workshops, and she'd work for the post office, and they made you sit down and go through every single sentence before you got to the next one. Again, don't do that, because that will slow you down as well. So we use a different side of the brain to edit than we do for writing, and so you really can't do both at the same time. But when you get so hung up on that, that slows you down. And that's really, and the reason I brought that up now is because it's kind of similar to the research in terms of, overthinking. Like, overthinking is like the worst thing you can do. If you want to write books quickly, you can't overthink it. It's like you figure out what your topic is, you get your title, you do your outline, and you just start writing. Write what you know. Okay. Most of the people that come to me, I would say 90% of them, are experts in their field. I mean, your stuff, or your basic stuff. And stuff, generally people have been teaching one-on-one, or in some form. They're not coming to it with nothing. And so, and actually, if you are coming to it with nothing, I do have a process for that I'll be sharing in a couple weeks, but for free. But the main thing is, most people know that, and so what you really want to do is just get the stuff down that get your basic structure, get your basic writing down, and then fill it in. And that's how I write all my books. I do them in layers. It's like the first layer is getting down what I know. The second layer is going back and, what do I need to add now? The third layer is adding it. And so, three passes through it, and basically I'm done. And that's how I'm able to write them really quickly. And that's how I teach my students and my clients to write them really quickly. And it works. As I said, I've done this workshop 30 times. I can count on one hand the number of refunds I've ever gotten. And it's usually people who got in on a scholarship, or, something like that. And I've only had one person where they got stuck and wanted to get out and called me over the weekend during the workshop, and I walked her through it, and she wrote her book. So that's it. That's what I wanted to say today. So do your outline. Don't do your research until you've written your first draft of your book, and edit it right. Layers. That's the key, layers. And so that's it for today's secret. I'll have another one tomorrow. And then on Saturday, I will be doing my free training, which is how to easily write a bestseller in 3 days or less, even if you hate to write, don't know how to write, or have never written. And so we'll go more into depth in some of these concepts and other things as well, so that the whole process. So if you'd like to learn the whole process, be sure to join me. You can register for that call Saturday, 11 a.m. If you can't make it, register anyway, so you'll get the updated information. And that is at www.3dayebookcash.com/class. www.3dayebookcash.com/class. And I really appreciate if you know anybody else who's been trying to write a book and can't write it, or is thinking about writing a book, or is just amazing at what they do and doesn't have a book. Please share this information with them. These videos are free, and then they can join us on the call on Saturday. So that's it. Have a great rest of the night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.